Well, I want to talk today about two things that are super necessary outside of everything else. If you want to have a successful, intimate relationship with your wife or a partner, you need to apply these two things. And I know we've heard a lot of the 5 ways to have a successful relationship, from listening, be a good listener, learn to communicate well, learn to make memories together, do some other activities that you both like. And those are all super important. But the number one thing you need to do, of the two of them, is you have to be aware and you have to be accountable. And accountable means I need to be aware of how I interact with somebody. I need to be able to listen to what is being shared with me in a relationship, and I have to be able to stop and begin to look at what is it that I do in this relationship in regards to when we communicate, when we have problems. What is my love style in talking to my wife? How do I respond to her? And so if I am not interested in that, if that is not important to me, I will move it to the side, and I don't even know why I get mad, why I am triggered. So I have to first start with the process of looking at, why do I respond the way I do? And that takes us into awareness. And once I become aware of what I'm doing, then that takes me to the place of, okay, where did that start? What memories do I have? What was going on in my formative years? Why am I triggered by certain things? Why do I not want to respond to the pleas my partner's is making to me in this relationship? What is going on with me that I can be dismissive? I can say that something is important to them is not important at all. How do I get to that place? And so when I start to examine, why do I act the way I act? What has been my experience? Why won't I listen? Sometimes when, I'll sit with a couple and they'll tell me how much they're nagging. Man, she just nags me all the time. Well, the question I ask then is, what is she nagging you about? Well, she's nagging me about housework, or she's nagging me about this situation. She's nagging me about parenting, being more involved. And okay, then my next question will be, well, what is going on inside you that you're not willing to respond and hear what is being said, and being willing to look at, why am I responding like that? I remember way back in the day when I was just getting sober, and actually before I was getting sober, and I'm sitting in a motel room, God asked me a question. And he said this, what do you want out of life? He didn't give me anything in sense of what to do. He asked me what I want. What is your awareness about life? So it's the same question I ask sometimes couples when they're having troubles. It's like, what do you want out of this marriage? What do you want out of this situation? What do you want to happen? And oftentimes they have no awareness of that. I don't know. What do you want? Teresa asked me the other day regarding parenting. What is the end game of our parenting? What is the number one thing, Joe, you want these kids that we are now raising to understand and know? And it was like, well, to me, the number one thing is for them to know God. So when I'm aware of that, now I can go down to the second step, which is being responsible, which is also another word for engage. Okay, I'm aware this is what I want. Now I have to become responsible to make that happen. What do I have to learn so that I can become responsible in applying what I want to happen so that I get the result I'm looking for? Outside of those two, what do I want and how do I get there? I am just going through the motions of life. I'm taking it as it comes. I have nothing to do. But when I start to say, okay, I'm aware that I'm not really willing to change something in my life. I don't want to hear what you have to say. Why don't I want to hear what you have to say? And then secondly, when I start to examine that, what do I want to do about that? For an example, if I want to invest in my relationship, and that's really what engaging is, what would I do if my wife says, here's a book for you. Why don't we read this book? And I go, no. Then what am I saying? I don't really want to learn anything different than I already operate in. Well, hey, let's go to counsel. No, I don't need counseling. Well, we're not being successful in what we're doing. We've gained an awareness this isn't working, but without engaging and becoming, I want this to work, I want to be responsible to make this work, I gain nothing. I just have an awareness. I don't like dealing with this kind of stuff. If I can't order my own life and the way I respond to you, how in the world can I think I can be responsible enough to manufacture and order a relationship to have outcomes I want it to have? I have to first be aware of my own motives, my own actions, and then I have to be responsible enough to start taking steps to navigate through that so that I can learn new ways to respond. That puts me in the position now to be able to actually operate in a relationship effectively and efficiently and lovingly. And that is the key to having a relationship that works. I have to be aware of what's going on, aware of our problems. Then I have to be willing to be responsible and engage in change, to learn more, to understand myself more, so that I can understand her. And so I can relate to her in a manner that is effective to where nagging just becomes a talking point and we find solution to what would we used to consider ongoing, never-ending problems. We just don't, we keep running into the same thing and nothing changes. Well, look it, unless I'm willing to be aware that something needs to change, and most likely I need to change because I can be a proponent of changing this, what is going on in me that makes me resistant to that? What is going on in me? How have I been formed to look at things that in reality have been a hindrance to my life, but I just blindly do it? And then I have to be able to learn new ways of dealing with my relationship. And so I have to invest in it. If I don't engage, nothing happens. Awareness without application means nothing. So my question is always to married couples, what are you willing to do to change? What are you willing to do? And if people are willing to do that, gain information, gain new insights, get help, do some looking back at your memories and your formative years and how was relationships portrayed to you? What was going on there? If I don't do that, nothing changes, and nothing changes till something changes. So for those of us that want to have a great relationship, be open to becoming aware of why you do what you do, and then secondly, become willing to engage in practices, education, reflective thinking on what do I need to do to change. And anybody can do this if you're willing.